Yeah, hi, dear aspirants. Today we are going to see the new global flashpoints which may get culminate into the World War III as well. That is, we are talking about the war which is taking place in the Gulf region or the war which is taking place in the Middle East. That is, the war between USA, Israel on one side and Iran on the other side. When we talk about this bloc of Israel and USA, they have the support of the peripheral countries of the US of the Gulf like Qatar, like UAE, like Saudi, in which format they are supporting them. Because on their land you would be finding the military bases of America. On the other side, with the axis of Iran, you have support of Lebanon, you have support of separatist element from Iraq, you have a support of Hezbollah. Now, what is the precursor with respect to this kind of boiling point? The precursor was on 28th of February. All of a sudden, when the intense negotiation was going on between Iran on one side and USA on the other side, under the aegis of Oman as a mediator, with respect to reducing or culminating their nuclear enrichment program. All of a sudden, on 28th February, the USA had bombed the residence of the Supreme Commander of Iran, Mr. Ali Khamenei, and that resulted into the demise of that prominent figure in the Shia community region, and that resulted into the sequence of wars which we have seen at this particular moment. Now, when we talk about the history with respect to Iran and USA war, it has its genesis from 1979. Before 1979, the Iran was being ruled by the Shah dynasty, and Shah dynasty was having a great amicable relationship with America. But all of a sudden in 1979, we have seen a revolution in Iran, and that resulted into instatement of the Shia rule, Shia theocratic regime in Iran. Thereafter, we have seen a tug of war continuously going on between Tehran and between the Washington DC, and the relations have been seen ups and downs. The major watershed moment had come in 2015 when Mr. Barack Obama had signed a nuclear deal agreement with Iran, and that deal was said to be P5 plus 1 agreement. P5 means the five member country of Security Council of UN and the Germany. So under it, the Iran had made the commitment that gradually they would be reducing their program with respect to nuclear enrichment. But thereafter, when in 2016 Mr. Donald Trump had come at the helm of USA, he had a deep suspicion with respect to the nuclear program of Iran. And thereafter, when he again came back as a second term of the USA president, he started making intense diplomacy with respect to reducing that particular program. But as per the version of Mr. Donald Trump and Mr. Netanyahu, the Iran was not fulfilling the commitment, and the suspicion started growing, increasing day by day. Iran, on the other side, was insisting that his nuclear program is peaceful. While the US and Israel, they have a deep fear that in the West Asian region, they would be finding one more nuclear armed country, that is Iran. And that would going to shift hugely the balance of power in the West Asia, because if the Tehran or Iran would be having the military power, then somewhere or other it would reduce the impact of other countries, it would reduce the impact of Israel in that Gulf region. So this mutual distrust which had been and which have been simmering for decades and decades, that resulted into further sanctions over Iran, which resulted into crumbling of economy of Iran in the recent past. Apart from this, huge amount of covert and overt pressures are being put by the USA on the Iran, and that we can see the near conflict cycles in the Iran in 2025 and 2026. Now, recently, with the attack of the US and Israel on the various strategic locations of Iran, targeting approximately 1,000 plus sites, including military facilities and elite infrastructure of Iran. Apart from decimation of the top leadership in Iran, it has resulted into one kind of full-fledged regional war. Because now the Iran has said that there is no scope with respect to the diplomacy or peace negotiation because the US has shrewdly killed Ayatollah Ali Khamenei, the father-like figure or the supreme leader of Iran. Now, when we look toward the strategy which have been adopted by the Iran with respect to retaliation, it has been multifarious. They have a huge stocks of ballistic missile. It is being expected that they are having approximately 3,000 ballistic missiles. Apart from this, they are having Cantina, means huge number of drone as well, which can be used with respect to unidirectional attack over the strategic bases and assets of the America. So be it Saudi, be it UAE, be it Qatar, they are feeling threatened by the spillover action on the part of the Tehran, that is the Iran. And but the Iran is resisting all this kind of thing. Iran is saying it is an act of deterrence, it is an act of self-defense likewise. And that is resulting into fracturing of all the diplomatic activities. Even the USA military leadership acknowledged that this is not that kind of war which would remain or which would sustain only for the shorter duration of time. But it is that kind of war which would be requiring huge amount of time investment, political dividend investment, and the money investment. And that's why Mr. Donald Trump is now trying to ignite the people of Iran with respect to bringing the revolution on their own. Because all of you people know, if some external forces would try to bring the regime change, that won't be resulting into sustainable leadership change, as we have seen in case of the Afghanistan. But if the revolution would be coming from the bottom side, or if it would be a bottom-up approach, then that revolution would be sustainable, like what we have seen in 1979 Iran Revolution. Okay. So when we talk about the nature of conflicts, so this nature of this particular conflict is having a severe repercussions because on the other side you would be finding Russia, you would be finding China, which are directly or indirectly supporting the Iran. But on the other side, you would be finding the grouping of European countries, which are making coordinated strategic strikes, airstrikes, and even the US is thinking of making the land strikes as well. So that might result into the huge tussles, huge frictions, huge strategic issues in that particular Gulf region. Because already the energy security of the world is choking with the Iranian Revolutionary Guard, they are stopping fully the Strait of Hormuz, which is responsible for 30 to 40% of movement of oil. So that you need to remember. Apart from this, we also need to understand that Iran is very strategically located. Now, with that strategic location, the Iran has the access with respect to the adjoining countries of West Asia, and utilization of the ballistic missile and the other canteen of missiles on the part of Iran may result into huge chaos and destruction in the adjoining region of West Asia, and that would be having a spillover effect toward the South Asia, Central Asia, Eastern Europe as well. So that needs to be understood that the attack on the part of Iran that would be having a huge repercussions not only at the regional point but also at the extra regional points as well. So there is a huge chances that with the involvement of China and Russia in this particular fractured war, there might be a two group which may get formed. On the one side, you would be having an allied group of European countries and USA. On the other side, you would be finding an axis alignment of Iran, Russia, China likewise. That may result into the onset or gradual inception of the World War III, which is not good with respect to the strategic interest of the various countries all across the world. Now, what India need to do? At this particular instant, obviously India being a largest democracy, mother of democracy, India needs to walk on a very thin line while safeguarding its interest. At the same time, being an apostle of peace, peaceful revolution like the India's independence movement, India needs to push, needs to nudge all these countries which are involved in the war that the war has never been the solution. The peace negotiation, the negotiation on the table would only be the way forward. That kind of way forward India can have. Apart from this, India can diversify its energy sources. Apart from Iran, India needs to look towards other countries which are providing the oil support to India. As per the latest data, India is venturing fast with respect to diversifying its sources, as India is now having access to 41 different countries with respect to oil access. Apart from this, in order to avoid any repercussions with respect to instability of incoming of remittances from the Gulf countries, because now the majority of the migrants would try to return back to India. We need to safeguard our Indian rupee because there is a high chances that already weakened rupee may get crumbled down further, and that is not good with respect to the foreign exchange reserve of the country or the overall economic stability of the country. So, all of you, please remember that with this kind of war, with this kind of frictions, humanity is not going to achieve anything because somewhere or other it is the laws would be at the side of civilian. The civilian would get there. The political leadership would come, would go. But the thing is that the real sufferer of this kind of issues or friction would be the civilian. So, for the sake of overall human civilization safety, we must try to resolve this particular issue in an amicable manner. And at this particular instant, the black sheep, that is the United Nations, needs to come forward and needs to project her true nature in the form of resolving body. Otherwise, it should not create an impression that with respect to weaker countries only or weakest country only, the United Nations used to come forward and used to project itself as some kind of dawn. But the real dawnship the United Nations needs to reflect during this particular time when the superpower are involved with respect to the friction and they are just maintaining their hegemony as if the United Nations doesn't exist. So here also the relevance and the significance of United Nations and its charter would be of immense importance. So that's it for today. Thank you so much.